Founders of UBIS. In fact, we are a group. UBIS is really involved with startups, and Tanguy is the CEO. He will explain you later. On my side, I'm a founder of Avila Partners too. It's a merchant bank in London, but we're really active in Benelux too. On our side, we are doing more deals, over 5 million in mergers and acquisition and fundraising too. So today we just want to speak about business development and fundraising, mainly on Series A, so I mean for startups that after the seed, they intend to raise some money. So just begin by some hard figures. First point, you must know that since 90s and 2010, more than 35,000 startups that were founded, 81% of those no longer exist after some years. And on the rest of the startups, only 19 achieved by an IPO or acquisition. I mean, they acquire something or they be sold to someone. That's a Crunchbase study. Generally speaking, the more stage of financing that the companies know and go through, and the greater is the potential of do not know a failure. The Series A, it's maybe the most difficult round for every startup. You were in a very kindful stage with your family, friends that gave you some money, and the people, the business angels, when you do seed capital, they are really helpful with you. But now you change the world. No one loves you, because they just want to challenge you from morning to night, and you all do nightmares every night after this challenge. So the good news is that now, years after all the rise of internet and so on, the investors, they know your business and they understand what you do. Maybe that's the bad news, in fact, because the investors, they know exactly what you do, what you intend to do, and they receive hundreds and hundreds and thousands files every day. So they are more able now than 20 years ago to challenge you. Just a small story. In 1998, we helped a company in France, in fact, and it was a very brilliant CEO and founder and in internet. And we met the head of private equity of one of the major French banks. And we have some tools for online shopping at this time and things like that. And they told us, you know, internet is like a better Minitel. In the next 5 years, no one will speak about that. So that's for explaining that 20 years ago, it was quite difficult to be a startup and to explain to people what you want to do. Now it's more easy. But on the other hand, they know exactly in what kind of competitors you can have. Now, in 2020, only 11% of the company that's raising A rounds are already generating revenue. And now, just 8 years after, 67% of the startups after this distinction. In fact, the real difference between two startups is which one is able to generating revenues naturally. And the previous speakers, we have some points really in common with them. So what's your goal number one as a startupper? The main point for the seed round, you must be ready to the Series A as from the beginning. And you just have only 3 words in your mind that are really important. The first one is cash, the second one is cash, and the third one is cash. So welcome to capitalism. If you are not comfortable with that, you can stop the process of your dreams immediately. Everyone can understand your losses. No one will understand your cash flow projections if these ones are not enough strong. Remember that cash is king, and it's really important to be comfortable and giving the proof of every line of your cash flows. A lot of startups were focused on the tech side and want to be able to deliver the most perfect product of the world, sorry. So in that case, and that was the previous intervention, welcome to the cemetery. You don't care about that. The most important is that you have to be focused on your business. Someone were focused to win as quick as possible clients and giving the proof to the investors of their capacity to do turnover with the first basic offer. And of course, everyone understands that with some money, sure, you're a winner. So how can we manage this dirty word, cash? So let's see the different ways. First way is a hard one. It's easy to understand, tough to achieve, but it's a basic one. You have to do sales. I don't know if you do e-commerce, traditional, direct marketing, whatever, if you have a product, if you intend to have some royalties, partnerships, but it's really, really, really the first way that you must use is having a turnover, having business. And then after that, you have another hard way, is obtaining subsidies and debit bank loans, credit line, whatever you want, if you intend to have a fundraise, IPO, crowdfunding. And that point, it's really another hard point for a main reason is that you cannot do both of them alone. And I'm not here for selling whatever. It's just because really and Fabien said that before, it's really time consuming because you are focused on your company, you want to sell, you want to have a beautiful product, you want to manage your people. If it's 2 or 3 people, maybe it's harder to manage 10 people than managing 500, in fact. But here you need help, and you need to have a real methodology and to know exactly what to do and what not to do. So extra cash flows you grow because time is money, and so you need to buy some. And that's the point where Tanguy will explain you at the level of a series here what a company and what a manager have to do.
So buy some time. Okay, of course, we like quite well motorbikes. We decided to put motorbikes on all our presentations, so if you like that, I hope to. A bit of a graph. It's just like a typical, if I can say, graph where you can see the resources on one end and sales on the other one. You got like this funding. Thanks to that, you have the possibility to increase, to invest actually within your resources, to hire people. It's a quite difficult and tough step, to be honest, because you get like some pressure. You have to invest quite a lot. You have to go fast. I mean, you have shareholders, and they want to have somehow the money back, and they want you to have a break-even point at some point. It's, as you can see, having funding on the right time is a possibility for you to boost a bit everything. What triggers venture capital? You have 2 main things, to be honest. It's one end, of course, you got the gut feelings, and on the other hand, you have the metrics. To be honest, the most important one is the metrics. That's something that you should not miss about. We're talking about Series A, so you're talking about a company that is already having traction, so better for you to already have some sales and revenue. Okay, we all talk about the hockey stick. Okay, fantastic, it's brilliant. I mean, it's not important that you got that very straight. If you have a pretty good increase, that's already great. And just in order to cut the myth, Google, Facebook, or Netflix were no exceptions when they were raising money. Maybe, Netflix is an outlier, to be honest, because the guy who was a founder in the 90s already sold a previous company $700 million. So probably, it was not a problem for him to build up a new company. But for Google and Facebook, these guys were students, and they had to show some traction. And without traction, they didn't have the money. And that's something that we forget about quite too fast. Gut feelings, yeah, it really depends on many things. Usually they come, okay, I mean, I'm a bit exaggerating when you don't need them, but whenever actually you can fit within their own ecosystem, when they can feel an exit already. They like to deal with experienced entrepreneurs as well. I mean, it's easy to deal. You have to put them yourself actually in their shoes. You know, they have many companies they are sitting at. So they'd like, you know, things to be quite easy. That's something normal. Metric-wise, I mean, you know, figures. And to be honest, get it documented. And it's a bit, you know, if you have this CRM where you can document everything, that's great. Because, you know, whenever you got like questions, you can answer them back quite easily. And you have these track records. What scares away venture capital? To be honest, lots of things, a bit everything. You know, you have so many different venture capitalists, you have so many different investors, the profiles are completely different. These are verticals. Some, you know, like to invest in early stage companies, some others like to invest in Series A, Series B, Series C. It's very different. Some, you know, just specialized, for instance, in some industries or some countries. But usually, you know, they like track records. If they feel there is a weakness in the management team, it's kind of like an issue. It depends as well on the decisions you took throughout your journey. I mean, it's good to make mistakes, it's good to make errors, but some, you know, are unforgiven and probably would dump your company just to the ground. So you have to be very careful to that, but you have to risk. I mean, this is a startup. Success fast, fail fast, it's normal. Yeah, I don't like, you know, sometimes risky R&D and stuff like that. I mean, nearly everything. To be honest, it could be even, you know, the color of your shirt. I mean, if you are into fashion industry and you're just pitching to Kering, you know, this could be something happening. Raising venture capital is quite a long process, to be honest. It's sometimes too long. Sometimes it arrives when, you know, you don't need it anymore. It's a long process, which is an opportunity cost for you. Looking for capital, you know, divert you from what you should be doing, sales. That's something that you need to focus on. It does not work always, you know, just depends. It does not work always, it's quite technical and requires experience. Even, you know, experienced entrepreneurs go sometimes to specialists because they know that it's an hassle. Yeah, focus on sales. That's something that is quite sure. That's something on which you have an impact. A few standard steps to Series A. That's something that, you know, you want to go and let's say you want to go and fundraise. It's quite general and standard. It's something that, you know, you will have anyway. You'll have to get a pitch deck at first. You're gonna have to get a business and a financial plan. That's something quite standard, to be honest. Be careful about the financial plan and the business plan. That's something that is quite key. No one believes in big financial and business plan, but, you know, it's going to be the base of your discussions to later stages. So, you know, put the numbers right. Then you send your pitch deck to a few investors that you've qualified. You have to know that investors, as I previously mentioned, they're very specialized in some verticals. You have to know as well that even within VC firms, you have specialists in one specific vertical, in one specific industry. So try to identify them. Then pitch. Okay, it's quite easy. I mean, there are coaches for that. It's something that is quite key. You know how to start, how to stop, and when to stop as well. Send further information, all the ones that are required, and when, you know, they're interested, congratulations, welcome to the due diligence, and that's where you start negotiating. Due diligence is when, for instance, a VC is really interested about your company, but really wants to see what's behind. So, for instance, if you don't have any cadavre in the placard, So if from a legal point of view it's good, if you know the operations is great, if what you mentioned in your business plan is real, it takes time. It takes really quite a lot of time. And then, let's say, happy, they liked what they saw, they will propose you a deal, and you'll start to negotiate and to talk about the term sheets and sign the shareholder agreement. Then after, you get the money, and then after, you know, you still keep on working because it's an ongoing business and process. So that's the few standards you will have anyway in any kind of fundraising relationship. Just as a conclusion, and so like that we stop. It takes time, but it's worth it. You have to know when to go for this step from a fundraising point of view. Sales is something that you can, you know, definitely master, and that's definitely the first thing you should focus on. Yeah, that's it. So yeah, that was, and so thank you. Okay, a little word about ourselves. We are UBs. We support entrepreneurs through business development financing. We focused on tech. Our playing field is Europe and Africa. We support and advise entrepreneurs from a fundraising point of view, from 500K up to 2 million euros. We have our own club deal as well. Twice a year. We do have a bespoke business development acceleration program, which is completely separate. So for young startups having already some traction, we help them going more within this business development path, and we are independent. Voilà, that's it. Thank you. Yeah, that's all. Okay. Oh, you want questions? Sorry. Yes, gentlemen. What do you mean? We work? The co-working? Sorry. To be honest, you know, it really depends. I mean, you know, there is always cycles, to be frank. There are some fashions as well, cycle within, you know, the VC world. For instance, you know, once it was VR, AR, everyone was crazy about that and everyone wanted to invest in that. At some other point, it was blockchain. Blockchain was hype and everyone, you know, were massively going to that. From a work point of view, you know, IPO is quite complex, to be honest. It's kind of like a burden, to be frank. And not everyone, not every companies want to go IPO, to be honest. It's lots of administration. It was kind of like an exit, to be honest, but it's one of the solutions, if I can say. So will it have an impact on fundraising? To be honest, it really depends on which kind of vertical sectors, industries. Maybe for co-working spaces, it will have an impact, but maybe it won't have like another impact on different types of business. So, voilà. Nobody else? Yes. For fundraising point of view? So roughly, we have a talk, first of all. We try to understand each other. Secondly, we try to see if we like the business. I mean, we don't accept everyone, to be honest, just because we want to have the best chances as well in order to get our entrepreneurs succeed. I mean, we want to have a great and fantastic track record. Then we go through the business plan, the pitch deck and everything. There is a ping pong, to be honest, up and go. can last from 2 weeks up to 2 months, depending on how mature these papers are. And then after we select a list of investors. Usually it's all about investment firms and everything. We propose the list. If the entrepreneur likes the list, we go forward, we contact them, and we go for opportunities for you to pitch and talk and discuss, and we help you out throughout up to the closing. So we help you negotiate as well your term sheets, the shareholder agreements, up to the monies and in the bank. So that's what we do. It's really like a very close relationship. It's not only about fundraise, to be honest. It's there's a reason why we developed this business development accelerator. It's just because we realized that we were providing so much added value for entrepreneurs. We have one, for instance, which is in the e-mobility. We started a few months ago together. To be honest, we like the management team, great management team, fantastic one, lots of possibility. They have the fantastic way to get the right key people around them. And to be honest, we went through the whole business plan. We, how do we say, yeah, we challenged them. There was like an evolution into the business plan, to be honest. And we provided so many helps, for instance, from operation point of view. I mean, we just put like the first domino because we found that there was maybe some weakness in order to be strengthened. So we did that, and that's something that we do for any of our customers and clients, and we're happy to do that because it's part of the job. Otherwise, fundraising is nice, but voila, the other side is pretty good. And because we're seeing so many entrepreneurs and stuff like that, we can really effectively help on that end. Voilà. Yes. Mm-hmm. Sure. But to be honest, it's actually more an opportunity. It's more positive for us, to be honest, because it's more risk, and I mean more risk in the sense that it's more returns. To be honest, there are lots of money actually, to be honest, right now and everywhere. But lots of people used to say that there's so much money. I have, it's just falling from everywhere. But I don't see so many great projects. And it's kind of like the usual sentence we see, and it's quite sad, to be honest. But no, actually, investors are ready, but it's not because they have the money that they will invest in anything or in any kind of business. If your business doesn't make any sense, if they don't see the business, the traction, the sales traction at some point, you could be dancing on your head. I mean, it won't happen. That's the reason why, going to VCs straight away, I mean, is not a good idea. I mean, you have some steps to respect, if I can say. At first, you have an idea, you have a PowerPoint, you need to go to subsidies, you need to go to public funding. That's the one who are ready to put the risk and to bear the risk for you. And then after, you can have 3F, of course, and business angels and things like that. They are the right people at the right place for these kind of things. But after, when you want to go for VCs, you need to have metrics, guys. You need to have sales. You need to have business revenues. You need to show that there is some traction in some kind. You need to show that you can make cash and that you can have the possibility to grow the company. So there is money. Yes, there is. And there are opportunities to get funded, that's for sure. Voilà. Nobody else? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's okay. Thank you.